So this is going to be Thursday, May 2nd, Advanced Kids getting farther into The Princess Bride, and the answer is a while. And so the rest of you, one, you're going to have a second video coming up later, so if you're my dead kid, we miss you. Two, you get two videos today, because to get us caught up for tomorrow, because there is one of the absolute best scenes that will ever happen in a book that you're ever going to get a chance to read, and I want to make sure we get to it tomorrow. That way you get to take the books home with you. And so I really, really am looking forward to this scene. But we have to make sure we get there, so I'm going to stop babbling in a moment so we can move forward. Let's see. The Days of Service donations. One of the groups is looking for hygiene items. Things along the lines of toothbrushes and floss, like the things that your dentist sends home with you that you guys just throw into a drawer. We're looking for those as donations, along with deodorant. It's for people who are homeless. They can create little bags for them when they stop in. They give them that bag and make their lives a little bit better. So we're looking for donations along those lines. Again, I'll give you 1 to 3 points for the stuff that you bring in, and I'll give you a total between 15 to 20 points depending on how much you bring in total. And that goes through next Thursday because the day of service that they're going to be doing it is next Friday. So if you can bring that in, I'll be more than happy to, and I send it out to your parents also. And then you want to have book drive books. That still goes.
I'm going to bring some in tomorrow.
That'd be great. And then Kings Island is almost full, but that ends tomorrow anyway. Did that. Tomorrow I'll be doing the cookie packs. And so for those of you who are wanting the cookie packs, we'll be getting to that one tomorrow also. But tomorrow we'll have more time to get to our reedy bits. Today we're going to try and push through so we can finish the intro and get into actual Princess Bride. And then tonight I'll begin reading Princess Bride because the Princess Bride is the fun stuff. And so we're going to get past the intro so we can get to the actual fun stuff. Griff!
Once we finish the intro, does that mean that we get to keep the books?
Starting tomorrow, yes. Because I have to read this certain part with you. That's why I'm going to send you the video tonight to guarantee you get to take them home. Did you listen to my good, bad news earlier?
No.
No, I tuned you out. Well, you're a horrible child. Now we've covered that. So now we're on page 29. Unless you're a fourth period kid, then you're going to have to just be out of luck because they're behind. They're only on page 25. So we've got 4 extra pages of greatness here with you guys. Try not to brag. So we got to the fact that William Goldman, we got to creepy stuff yesterday with Sandy.
Creepy old man flirt.
Creepy old man flirting with poor Sandy Sterling, and the fact that what is he supposed to give his son? The book, and that's where he has the whole guilt thing come back. And then what gift does his wife give to the kid?
10 speed.
What kind of relationship does he have with his wife?
A weird one. A cheaty one.
Sure.
She's not. She's
A starlit one.
And what kind of relationship with his son?
A bad one. He makes fun of him.
We find out more about their relationship at the very end. Like there's an introduction, there's a post-introduction, conclusion. At the very end, we sort of wraps up things, and you find out things are much better between him and his son and stuff like
You mean
that.
epilogue?
Words, they're overrated.
Is there an epilogue for an intro?
An intrologue or an introduction.
Okay. Oh, I see you.
So page 29, we're up there to the part.
I don't.
Part where he's saying he's not that far from dating Helen, and then what? Oh yeah, because his son is a round child.
Roly-poly boy.
Really likes his
What
food.
was the name of that kid from Willy Wonka that was really chubby?
Augustus Gloop.
Yeah. It's just like
I love that you just know that off the top of your head.
I've been teaching a long time. Jason is 10, darling, and not interested at this stage in girls. At this stage, he is interested in taking the kid's purple paper and throwing it in the trash and dancing on it, waiting until he figures out the teacher's talking to him. Oh, sorry, I got confused. At this stage, he is interested in rocketry. What difference does a slight case of overweight make to a rocket lover? When he chooses to be slender, I assure you, he has both the intelligence and the willpower to become slender. Until that time, please, in my presence, do not frustrate the child. Oh, quick pause real quick. The video tonight, because fourth period is behind you, is going to be longer. At the beginning of the video, I'll say something like, third period kids. You can fast forward until you see me hold up a third period sign. And so for you guys, because you don't have to lose much, you can just go until you see me hold up third period now, and then that's where you get to start paying attention. Since you guys are a little bit further. Just thought of that one in my head. All right. Until that time, please, in my presence, do not frustrate the child. Sandy Sterling in her bikini was dancing behind my eyes. I'm not eating. That's it, Jason said then. Sweet child, Helen said to the kid in that tone she reserves on this earth only for such moments. Be logical. If you do not eat your potatoes, you will be upset, and I will be upset. Your father clearly is already upset. If you do eat your potatoes, I shall be pleased. You will be pleased. Your tummy will be pleased. We can do nothing about your father. You have it in your power to upset all or one, about whom, as I've already said, we can do nothing. Therefore, the conclusion should be clear. But I have faith in your ability to reach it yourself. Do what you will, Jason. He began to stuff it in. You're making a poof out of that kid, I said, only not loud enough for anybody but me and Sandy to hear. Then I took a deep breath, because whenever I come home, there's always trouble, which is because, Helen says, I bring tension with me. I always need inhuman proof that I've been missed, that I'm still needed, loved, etc. All I know is I hate being away, but coming home is the worst. There's never really much chance to go into, well, what's new since I'm gone, chit-chat, seeing that Helen and I talk every night anyway. I'll bet you're a whiz on that bike, I said then. Maybe we'll go for a ride this weekend. Jason looked up from his potatoes. I really loved the book, Dad. It was great. I was surprised that he said it, because naturally I was just starting to work my way into that subject matter. But then, as Helen's always saying, Jason ain't no dummy. Well, I'm glad, I said. Was I ever? Jason nodded. Maybe it's even the best I read in all my life. I nibbled away at my spinach. What was your favorite part? Chapter 1, The Bride, Jason said. That really surprised me. Not that chapter 1 stinks or anything, but there's not much that goes on compared to the incredible stuff later. Buttercup grows up mostly is all. How about the climb up the cliffs of insanity? I said then. That's in chapter 5. Oh, great, Jason said. And that description of Prince Humperdinck's Zoo of Death? That's in the 2nd chapter. Even greater, Jason said. What knocked me out about it, I said, was as this very short little passage on the Zoo of Death, but yet somehow you just know it's going to figure in later. Did you get the same feeling? Uh-huh, Jason nodded. Great. By then I knew he hadn't read it. He tried to read it, Helen cut in. He did read the 1st chapter. Chapter 2 was impossible for him, so when he'd made a sufficient and reasonable attempt, I told him to stop. Different people have different tastes. I told him you'd understand, Willie. Of course I understood. I felt just so deserted, though. I didn't like it, Dad. I wanted to. I smiled at him. How could he not like it? Passion, duels, miracles, giants, true love. You're not eating the spinach either? Helen said. I got up. Time change. I'm not hungry. She didn't say anything until she heard me open the front door. Where are you going? She called then. If I'd known, I would have answered. I wandered through December. No topcoat. I wasn't aware of being cold, though. All I knew was I was 40 years old, and I didn't mean to be here when I was 40, locked with this genius shrink wife and this balloon son. It must have been 9 o'clock when I was sitting in the middle of Central Park, alone, no one near me, no other bench occupied. That was when I heard the rustling in the bushes. It stopped, then again, very soft, nearer. I whirled, screaming, "Don't you bug me!" And whatever it was, friend, foe, imagination, fled. I could hear the running, and I realized something right then. At that moment, I was dangerous. Then it got cold. I went home. Helen was going over some notes in bed. Ordinarily, she'd come out with something about me being a bit elderly for acts of juvenile behavior. But there must have been danger clinging to me still. I could see it in her smart eyes. He did try, she said finally. I never thought he didn't. Where's the book? The library, I think. I turned, started out. Can I get you anything? I said no, then went to the library, closed myself in, hunted out The Princess Bride. It was in pretty good shape, I realized, as I checked the binding, which is what I saw was published by my publishing house, Harcourt Brace Jovanovich. This was before that. They weren't even Harcourt, Brace, and World yet, just plain old Harcourt, Brace, period. I flicked to the title page, which was funny since I'd never done that before. It was always my father who'd done the handling. I had to laugh when I saw the real title because right there it said, The Princess Bride, S. Morgenstern's classic tale of true love and high adventure. You had to admire a guy who called his own new book a classic before it was published and anyone else had a chance to read it. Maybe he figured if he didn't do it, nobody would. Or maybe he was just trying to give the reviewers a helping hand. I don't know. I skimmed the first chapter, and it was pretty much exactly as I remembered. Then I turned to the second chapter, the one about Prince Humperdinck and the little kind of tantalizing description of the Zoo of Death, and that's when I began to realize the problem. It's not that the description wasn't there. It was, and again, pretty much as I remembered it. But before you got to it, there were maybe 60 pages of text dealing with Prince Humperdinck's ancestry and how his family got control of Florin and this wedding and that child begatting this one over here who then married somebody else. And then I skipped to the third chapter, the courtship. And that was all about the history of Gilder and how that country reached its place in the world. The more I flipped on, the more I knew. Morgenstern wasn't writing any children's book. He was writing a kind of satiric history of his country and the decline of the monarchy and Western civilization. But my father only read me the action stuff, the good parts. He never bothered with the serious side at all. About 2 a.m, I called Hiram in Martha's Vineyard. Hiram Hayden's been my editor for a dozen years, ever since Soldier in the Rain, and we've been through a lot together, but never any phone calls at 2 a.m. To this day, I know he doesn't understand why I couldn't wait till maybe breakfast. You sure you're all right, Bill? He kept saying. Hey, Hiram, I began after about 6 rings. Listen, you guys published a book just after World War I. Do you think it might be a good idea for me to abridge it and republish it now? You sure you're all right, Bill? Fine, absolutely. And see, I just used the good parts. I'd kind of bridge where there were skips in the narrative and leave the good parts alone. What do you think? Bill, it's 2 a.m. up here. Are you still in California? I acted like I was all shocked and surprised so he wouldn't think I was a nut. I'm sorry, Hiram. God, what an idiot. It's only 11 o'clock in Beverly Hills. Do you think you could ask Mr. Jovanovich, though? Do you mean now? Tomorrow. The next day. It's no big deal. I'll ask him anything, only I'm not quite sure I'm getting an accurate reading on exactly what you want. Are you sure you're all right, Bill? I'll be in New York tomorrow. I'll call you then about the specifics, okay? Could you make it a little earlier in the business day, Bill? I laughed, and we hung up, and I called Zig in California. Everett Ziegler has been my movie agent for maybe 8 years. He did the Butch Cassidy deal for me, and I woke him up too. Hey, Zig, could you get me a postponement on the Stepford Wives? There's this other thing that's come up. You're contracted to start now. How long of a postponement? I can't say for sure. I've never done an abridgment before. Just tell me what you think they do. I think if it's a long postponement, they'd threaten to sue and you'd end up losing the job. Came out pretty much as he said. They threatened to sue, and I almost lost the job and some money and didn't make any friends in the industry, as those of us in showbiz call movies. But the abridgment got done, and you hold it in your hands. The good parts version. Why did I go through all that? Helen pressured me greatly to think about an answer. She felt it was important. Not that she know necessarily, but that I know. Because you acted crackers, Willie boy. You had me truly scared. So why? I was never worth beans at self-scrutiny. Everything I write is impulse. This feels right, that sounds wrong, like that. I can't analyze, not my own actions anyway. I know I don't expect this to change anybody else's life the way it altered mine. But take the title words, True Love and a High Adventure. I believed in that once. I thought my life was going to follow that path, prayed that it would. Obviously it didn't, but I don't think there's high adventure left anymore. Nobody takes out a sword nowadays and cries, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." And true love, you can forget about too. I don't know if I love anything truly anymore beyond the porterhouse at Peter Luger's and the cheese enchilada at El Parador's. Sorry about that, Helen. Anyway, here's the good parts version. S. Morgenstern wrote it. My father read it to me, and now I give it to you. What you do with it will be of more than passing interest to us all. And that was where the introduction ends. And then finally, Chapter 1, The Bride. Here's where the issue comes in and why we had to read the introduction. What we're reading now is S. Morgenstern's Princess Bride, but it's William Goldman's version of it, the part that his dad read. So he had to get special permission to cut out huge chunks of it because there were huge boring bits in there that his dad never read. And so when he did it, he cut those boring chunks out. But when he does it, he interjects into the book why he's cutting them out. So if we don't do the introduction, it gets real confusing because we'll read through it and all of a sudden be like, hi, this is William Goldman. I cut out these parts because, and you're like, what's going on? And without that introduction, it makes no sense. And all it did was confuse kids. So now that you know that, when we get into it, it'll make a lot more sense. When we start on my thing tonight, I have to get my 4th grade caught up because they're not to here yet. And then I'm going to get to this first really, sorry, I get excited, good scene coming up. And that's where we'll get you to, so you get to enjoy that. So we get to the really, really good scene tomorrow. But now, I get to pick up books from you.